Hey, this is Jo Kupke bringing you a dose of inspiritment. I know you want to lead yourself well in whatever space you find yourself today. These super short episodes are designed to bring you that inspiration, encouragement, and challenge to think a bit deeper. Maybe you will find your next step to leading yourself well today. Before we jump into the content for this week, I just want to give you a little bit of context and background. I actually wrote and created this about 6 weeks ago, but never published it. It came as I was ending this period of several months of unemployment and looking for work. I'd finally secured a job, but found myself in quite a strange place, kind of mentally and emotionally, as I was kind of processing these changes. I thought that, you know what? Other people probably go through transition too. In fact, I know they do. And maybe someone else will benefit from hearing the emotions that I was wrestling with, the ways I was kind of processing through this, and some of the questions that I was asking myself as I reflected during this time. So take a listen, and I hope it encourages you. I find myself in this place where a season of waiting is shifting into a season of transition. And my mind, or maybe it's my heart, hasn't quite caught up with the change in circumstances. It doesn't feel real yet. And I'm guessing it probably won't until I kind of have a more settled routine and I can dive into the actual work. But this morning, it's the first opportunity I've had to simply sit and reflect rather than working out logistics or sort of finishing up the last days of my relief teaching season. Now, I want to start off with just clarifying that I am so grateful to have secured this role. I will be working in an area that, I have a passion for, doing work I love, and, with people that I really enjoy being around. And discussions about this job actually started back in October last year at a retreat for women in leadership. And so many moments, it just didn't look like it would be going ahead. And I'd kind of just put it on the back burner without much hope, to be honest. And yet, here I am, about to begin. And yeah, I am so grateful. But I'm sad too. And grief was not an anticipated part of this portion of the journey. I thought that I would grieve leaving my last role, which I did, and I worked through that. And then I thought I would just kind of move forward once I got a job. And then I had to start saying goodbye to the staff and students that I've connected with through relief teaching. I don't know about you, I use a 5-year journal, and it has space every day, just a few lines to put down a few thoughts, things that going on in my life. And I'm into my second year, and I've been looking back a year ago, seeing how much I wrestled. It was really a humbling and heart-wrung decision to start relief teaching a year ago. And I find myself a year later, I've enjoyed it. And I've dreaded it. There have been mornings I really didn't want to do it. And so saying goodbye has been harder than I thought it would be. So in the midst of gratitude and joy, there is still sadness. And that's okay. I have to allow myself to grieve that and work through it. This new role also means that I don't have school holidays off anymore, or working in a position that's, completely flexible, working from home. And that's the first time since being a parent. And I've realized as I look back how often I have taken that privilege for granted or wasted that time with my daughter. And now I have to face logistics of organizing childcare and trying to figure out how to invest time in my relationship with my daughter too. And that's all kind of wrapped up in beginning this journey of establishing new routines, figuring out how to do life well with a new schedule, different demands on my time, and realizing that the rhythms that support my mental and spiritual life need to shift. Facing a new season is daunting. I worry about how my family will adjust. And then there's that good old voice of imposter syndrome that sort of rears its head and starts speaking a bit louder. And I wonder if it's correct and if I'll be found out to be a fraud and be unable to do what's needed. I've had to work through those processes again of quieting that voice. Even things like, when am I going to get laundry done? When am I going to cook dinners with much longer work hours than I've done before? There are so many thoughts, considerations, and opportunities ahead. And I'll probably need more time to reflect on all of those and figure it out. And maybe that will be a whole other podcast episode at some point. But for right now, I realize just how strange it is how these long seasons of waiting can suddenly be over. Transitions bring their own challenges and opportunities, sadness and joy, fear and elation. I think back on how different my life was a year ago and the growth that I've experienced over that time. I suspect that this will be even more true in another year's time. Change is the only certainty in life, and I walk into this one with gratitude. As you look at transitions in your own life, I wonder if you can identify some of those different emotions that come up. Have you given yourself space and time to feel all of them, to work through that, whether that's talking through it with a friend or journaling or talking to a counselor, however, whatever works for you, but take time to process that. And then start looking at those new routines, new rhythms, what will need to shift, what can stay the same. All these considerations, but I encourage you to take those moments, carve out time to sit, reflect, and decide on how you will move forward, how you will lead yourself well through this transition. This will be a journey for me, and I hope to keep sharing with you some of the things that I'm thinking about and discovering over this time. But for now, it's one day at a time. Thank you for listening and taking the time to invest in your personal growth. You can stay in touch with me on social media. Look for Jo Koepke, JOKOEPKE on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Or head over to my website, jokoepke.com, to see some other things I have on offer, use the contact me form, or get connected in with my email community. Have a great week. Keep taking those steps forward, and I will see you again soon.